Hi you guys, today we're going to be using marshmallows, toothpicks, and one piece of cooked spaghetti to work on creating 2D flat, or you could even call them plain shapes. Remember right before spring break when we made our leprechaun traps, Mrs. Lloyd gave you marshmallows and toothpicks to use, and a lot of you started with a cube, which is a 3D shape. But to make a cube, Mrs. Lloyd told you how you first had to start with a square. So I think this is going to be pretty easy for you, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly, but I just wanted to remind you this is a really fun way to look at the attributes of plain, flat, 2D shapes. All right, let's go ahead and start with the spaghetti. So if you see, I just took a piece of spaghetti out of my lunch. If I'm trying to make a circle, this is the word circle, I can do this, but this would not be a circle because it's open. And remember, all of our shapes need to be closed. So I need to make sure the curved side, and it really has 0 sides, but the curved line goes all the way around and it closes. And using my spaghetti, I can actually make a circle. It has 0 corners. It has 0 sides, so I couldn't use my marshmallows and toothpicks for a circle. I had to find something special to make a circle because it doesn't actually have any straight sides. It is totally curved and round. But let's move on to our square. For our square, I'm going to use my toothpicks and my marshmallows. And remember that Mrs. Lloyd showed you, I actually think Maeve was there that day, and I showed you how you take a toothpick, that's going to be one of our sides, and you stick marshmallows on either end, and then you take 2 toothpicks to be 2 more sides, and you stick them in there, in those marshmallows. And then I take 2 more marshmallows. These are going to be, they're pretending to be my square corners that all squares have to have. And then I stick my last toothpick in there. So now I've created a square. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 square corners. I can even check those squares with a different piece of paper and make sure that the sides line up. Like this side is lined up with this side. I know that's a square corner. All right, next I'm going to go ahead and make a rectangle. So here is my rectangle. And in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to start with a marshmallow on each side. There. And I'm going to start with my sides, but I need 2 longer sides and 2 shorter sides. So I think what I'm going to do, I don't want a whole marshmallow because then it will be like, those are our corners, right? So I'm just going to use a tiny bit of sticky marshmallow here so that you know this isn't a corner. Its sole purpose is the glue to put the sticks together. What you could do is if you had popsicle sticks, you could make a rectangle using 2 popsicle sticks and 2 of the toothpicks. That way you would create, without having to stick 2 toothpicks together, 2 longer sides. So you could do it that way also. But I'm just going to use tiny bits of my marshmallow to stick this together. Oop, silly. Like that. And then I need 2 more corners down here. So the full marshmallows will be my corners. Corner, and then my last side, and my corner. Now I've created a rectangle, and the attributes of a rectangle and a square are exactly the same. It needs to have 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it needs to have 4 straight sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the corners have to be right corners. So I can see that this side lines up with this one perfectly. That is a square corner right there, a square corner. The only difference between a rectangle and a square is that you see the square has to have sides that are all the same length. That's why I could use 4 toothpicks perfectly. A rectangle doesn't need to have that. So a rectangle can have 2 sides that are longer. That's why I had to put these together to make these sides longer. And then these 2 sides are shorter. Okay, so that I think you guys will do pretty well on those. So next, what I'd like to do is go ahead and try a hexagon. Now, a hexagon is a shape that you guys learned in kindergarten, but I think it's good to talk about them again to make sure you haven't forgotten it. Hexagon has this word part, H-E-X, which is hex. And that word part long ago meant 6. So this is a 6-sided shape. So I'm gonna need 6 toothpicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm gonna need to use my marshmallows. Let's see if we can build a hexagon. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by putting marshmallows on either side, like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stick a toothpick out like that. Do you guys see? So I have, here's a side and I'm adding sides here, but a hexagon has 6 sides. So I need to add more marshmallows. There. Then I'll add another side right here, like that. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to add this last toothpick right here, 6. So a hexagon, the magic number is 6 because the word part hex means 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. I have 6 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, what's interesting about these corners is if I line up the side, one of the sides here, it doesn't line up with my piece of paper. This is not a square corner right there, okay? Because it's wider. It goes past and doesn't line up with my piece of paper. So this is a hexagon. It has 6 sides and 6 corners. And you can kind of see if I take my square, how the corners look different. See how this side is not going straight down like this side on a square? So that is just a really fun way that you can use toothpicks and marshmallows and one piece of spaghetti to try to make different plain 2D flat shapes. And then of course, if you think back to making leprechaun traps, maybe you can try to turn some of these shapes into 3D shapes like cubes and rectangular prisms. All right, you guys, that's it. Have a great day. Bye.